But first, let's go right off the top with this. Now, the other day, a report began going around that Star Wars and Lucasfilm was putting on hold the spin-off films, like the films outside of the trilogy, and that those films were being put on hold. Now, I cautioned everybody at the time, saying, okay, well, just keep in mind a couple things. This is coming from one source that says they talked to some unnamed people. Fine. And I also said, remember, Star Wars had never actually made an announcement. Like, Star Wars had never announced the Boba Fett movie. Star Wars had never announced an Obi-Wan movie. It's hard to change your plans for things you never announced in the first place, but whatever. So that happened. However, this morning on ABC News is now reporting that they have spoken to Lucasfilm and that Lucasfilm is saying the following about those reports. This is all coming from the ABC News story. Lucasfilm sources on Thursday characterized as inaccurate a report that future Star Wars movies falling outside of the regular trilogy storyline, episodes 1 through 9, have been put on hold. The story goes on to say those projects are moving forward separate from an already announced Star Wars trilogy being overseen by The Last Jedi director Rian Johnson and another series of movies from Game of Thrones producers David Benioff and D.B. Weiss. Just that last part again. Those projects are moving forward separate from an already announced Star Wars trilogy being overseen by The Last Jedi director Rian Johnson and another series of movies from Game of Thrones producers David Benioff and D.B. Weiss. Now, there are a couple things to keep in mind here about this. Number one, something we already kind of said. How do you change plans on something you've never actually announced in the first place? There's that. Second thing is this. The report itself that came out that said those films were being put on hold, that may have been what they were told. Like the outlet that reported that very well could have been what they were told. Maybe they got a piece of information that was being interpreted a certain way. It doesn't necessarily mean that initial report was bupkis or garbage or anything like that. That just might have been what they were told. But Lucasfilm is now responding by saying those reports are inaccurate. We're still moving forward with other things. Now, how much of that is PR spin? I don't know. Maybe it's all PR spin. Maybe none of it's PR spin. Maybe the initial story was garbage to begin with, or maybe there's a part of truth in it, and Lucasfilm is just addressing to give us the whole truth. Who knows? There's a lot of things in there, but it's just important to point out. That's why when people were bringing it up on my show yesterday, I was just kind of saying, let's take a break on talking about that because number one, it's just coming from one unnamed source. Number two, it's hard to change plans on something that has never been announced in the first place. Let's wait to hear what Lucasfilm has to say. And now they've given their say. But I'm sure we haven't heard the end of this. I'm sure there's going to be more about this coming up in the near future. All right, with all that out of the way, let's now get you